I am still with you.
Sarah, I think Sarah wants to come in and speak to you, Sean. Sarah's in Wetherby. Hello, Sarah.
Good morning. I'm really interested that this gentleman seems to know what it's like to have a baby himself. Well, I'm delighted that you witnessed the birth of your child. You have no right to tell me how I can have mine.
I didn't tell you. What I said was, you shouldn't have a choice unless it's medical. Listen to what I'm saying, don't make it up in your head.
You are telling me. And you have no idea what it's like to go through childbirth, either first time, second time, either through caesarean or natural birth. So
I know what it's like to walk off a mountain with my bone sticking out my leg. Is that any good?
Sorry?
I know what it's like to walk off a mountain with a bone sticking out of my leg, so I know what pain's like.
Oh, please, please, it's just, it's completely different. It's utterly different. I have the right to make a choice about how I have a child, and I have made the choice twice to have a caesarean. And it's
you can sit in a birth pool if you want, I don't care.
You make people like me feel like we failed as mothers.
Sean's not
I really resent that.
No, I didn't say that. You're making it up in your own head, what I've said.
Please
what you're doing is you've identified a prejudice and you're making the evidence up.
I'm sorry?
All you think, you don't listen. You're making the evidence up to support your prejudice.
Me. I've listened clearly and I've listened to what you had to say. I just fundamentally disagree with it.
You two aren't married by any chance, are you?
No, I'd choose a bit better than that, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, married people don't talk too much.
Well, how delightful.
That was a joke, by the way. Are we allowed to joke anymore?
We're allowed to joke, don't worry. We're allowed to joke. But, yeah. Sarah, basically, the choice should be there.
I fundamentally think that the choice should be mine. If I want to have a caesarean, and I can appreciate all the arguments connected with cost at the moment, because that is so, it's so vital at the moment that cost is an issue within the NHS. But if we take away the cost issue, which I know we can't, I think that women should have the choice.
But what if a woman says, and let's be frank about this, we're having a frank discussion, this is an American thing, and there are women in this country as well, and certainly those who go private, no doubt, to sometimes go for this reason, where they have more clout, more say, and they're the boss, I guess, if they're paying thousands of pounds, I don't know. But if they say, look, I want to have a caesarean section because I want to remain, I want my body to remain as my body once was.
Nick,
so is that acceptable?
That argument is, I think the majority of women who have a caesarean do not go through it because of that.
No, I know, of course they don't. But what about those who do? Is that acceptable? Should they have?
There's such a minority that actually they fog the argument, because the argument is a lot of, in my experience, the people that I met who went through the caesarean did not do it for the easy option. They did it for a whole heap of reasons. I did it because of the first.
Can't have a choice.
I'm sorry, if we're having a discussion about caesareans, why don't we actually have someone who's had a caesarean instead of a man who thinks because they've walked off a football pitch with a scar, they know more?
What you said is, you don't agree with them doing it for cosmetic reasons, I think that's what I heard you say. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what I heard you just say.
I said that
so
the majority
they're not allowed
of women...
choice, but you are. Okay.
Oh, my lord, can you please stop talking so people can get a word in? What I said was the majority of people who go through caesareans do not go through it for cosmetic reasons. And I think that fogs the argument by bringing that into it.
You brought it in, you said that wasn't acceptable.
Well,
so if it's choice, hang on a minute, if it's choice, then it's choice for any choice. And that includes that you don't want your bits messed up. Or you don't want to push because you're too push. That's an equally valid choice to you being a bit scared.
No, it's nothing to do with being a bit scared. How patronising are you? It's nothing to do with being scared.
What's it to do with it?
Am I allowed to respond, or do you have more to say?
Probably, but go on.
Oh, gosh, I feel so honoured to have been invited into the conversation. I chose to have a caesarean because the first time I had my first birth through caesarean because I had to through medical reasons, and I was scared to go through a natural birth second time. Not because I was scared of pain, but because I'd had a caesarean, I didn't know the implications. Possibly I wasn't educated enough. Possibly
I agree with you.
Let's Sarah finish. Last point before Trav. Go on, Sarah.
I was entitled to make that choice, and I fundamentally believe it was the right choice for me. Most mothers do not have the choice because they don't want their bits fiddled with. It's an incredibly patronising approach. Most women make the choice for a whole heap of reasons, and actually the fundamental thing is they should be allowed the choice.
Well, thank you very much, Sean.
I think she made the right choice, by the way. I think she made the right choice. She's had a caesarean for medical reasons first time. Great choice, well done.
Thank you very much, Sean. Sarah, thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Can I tell that, Sean and Sarah, you've been a big hit with our listeners, the two of you listening to this honest conversation. Whatever you feel about each other, we learned a lot listening to you about attitudes that people have. Thank you very much. Take care, Sarah.
Thank you.
It's 9:52.